afternoon, folks. This is Tiffany Daniels coming with another episode of Spilling Tea, also known as the Lady Autist on Twitter. So, I was originally going to go into some information in regards to the case on Twitter, but I didn't feel comfortable with taking that information from somebody else about their opinion and doing a vid on it. So I decided to hold off on that. Immediately after, apparently, in our community, I don't know if you noticed, but in all of us that it can be easily proven that we support JD, suddenly all of these strange little pop-ups are popping up in our DMs, linked to an Instagram account that wants you to put in your information, and it's saying that it is coming from a friend. It is not, folks. It's a scam. Now, there are some folks who do believe this is coming from AH's side. These are her stands. It's possible. Let's face it, it's very possible. And I wouldn't put it past them, but I don't feel comfortable with putting the blame at their door, and not without some more concrete evidence. I did go ahead and retweet it because I want people aware that this is going on. I don't want to be like them, you know? They come up with stuff like this about us all the time, and we can't be so quick to just assume that it's them doing it and not just some random scammer. It could be possibly going on in more communities than just ours. But I do want people to be aware, if you see a DM, it's from one of us, and it has an Instagram link on it, do not click on it, and absolutely do not put your information into it. We don't really know for sure who is actually behind it, but with me, I just pretended it doesn't even exist. Okay. Now, kind of going over a few things from today. So, earlier, one of my actually autistic folks reached out to my other community I'm involved in, and they were having what has become to our community all too familiar issues. This person and I, for their safety, I'm not going to be giving out their names, but they live with their mother, and this mother has gaslit this gentleman, and then later on, when he called her on her gaslighting, proceeded to threaten to punch him. And it went downhill from there. He talked about how she went on to say that, because she was his mother, that she would never hurt him, and that it's different coming from her because she's a woman, but if he ever retaliated, that was different. So, the double standard is not just with these Hollywood stars, folks. It's not just with men in general. It very much has an unfortunate place inside the disability community and amongst families. Especially in my particular part of the neurodivergent side. See, people prey on people with autism, especially narcissists, because not only can they use gender against us, but if that doesn't work, if you're the female, they can use their autism to discredit you and use those autistic stereotypes to paint you as the violent perpetrator while they play the victim. That's why I never reported my own DV, because I knew they could turn it around on me and use society's bigoted views of people like me to completely get my claim dismissed. And I just didn't feel like it was worth the energy. Well, this gentleman continues to live in a dangerous situation. And it made me kind of think, for those who are in a very, very one-sided situation, what can be done to help these individuals to be able to get out of these horrible situations? So, I went ahead and did a little bit of digging for him. And thankfully, there was some answers that I found for his particular situation where there's council housing out in the UK that they can go ahead and apply for so he can get out from under what's going on with his mother. This is proving to be a lot wider of a problem than I already thought it was, and I already thought it was a huge problem. It is a problem within the talks about abuse that people have been far too silent on, especially when it comes to people with disabilities and abuse. For many, many, many years, when it comes to parents that threaten their kids, parents that have been violent against their kids and been found guilty for it, for parents and caregivers that have actually murdered their children and sometimes even themselves, all too often you will see society and the media say, hold on, let's think about what the parent was going through. The parent with their autistic kid, they must have been overwhelmed. There is excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse for this type of behavior. Now that sounds familiar to those of us in the JD community who've had to listen to this line of mutual abuse nonsense, the whole relationship was toxic excuse. Obviously, there is a conversation that needs to be happening, and that conversation needs to stop excluding male victims, and it needs to stop excluding victims with mental illness and disabilities. And there needs to be more support groups, homes, and resources for those out there who are a part of a very one-sided toxic relationship. It's just something I wanted to bring out into the open. Start talking, start building resources. There's got to be something out there. We can't continue excluding men, those with disabilities, and those with mental illness from this conversation about abuse. Alright. That's all I got for today, folks. I do appreciate you listening to me ramble. Now, as always, if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, Don't forget to hit the comments. We don't get very meaning views on here. And I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.